3 days since Tom Cruise left town and the media circus has left with him. Unfortunately, there are some people that won't be able to change their condition in life because they don't have any life left. These are the people who died in Scientology. Nice note. The first thing to mention is this t-shirt, which was designed and worn famously by Samantha Domingo at the Tom Cruise protest. It mentions at the bottom there forced abortion, and the first thing I'd like to mention from this list of names is the hundreds of Sea Organization children who didn't even make it into life because they were aborted because of David Miscavige's Scientology policy of children are just a waste of time, it takes too much time and effort to have them taking you off your job. So we've got a planet to clear, let's get rid of these kids. And that's what Scientology does. Scientology forces abortions on its members. Okay. The following people have died because of Scientology. Michael Adams, Conrad Egner, Alan Albert, Goran Anderson, Kirk Anderson, Maria de Rosario Almeida, Christopher Arbuckle, Michael Ague, Tom Ashworth, David Baker, Faith Banks, Peggy Bankston, Greg Bashaw, Annie Broker, Arthur Beals, Bob Borowski, Carl Barney, Cody Bates, Dale Susan Borgen, David Baker, Flo Miller Barnett, Louis Bellucci, Griffey Blythe, Jeremy Blake, Ellie Blankenship, Jens Bogvad, John Boucher, John Breedlove, John Buchanan, Kaya Bordovich Ballo, Jim Bostrom, Gabriella Bramucci, Kyle Brennan, Ed Brewer, Layla Leighton Brown, Melanie Broomer, Lisa Bockelman, Marie Bolt, Michael Bonin, Sam Benyon, Steve Brackett, Theo Box, Enid Byrne, Al Crivello, Alan Crichton, Clint Coleman, Pat Cade, Ellen Carter, David Carey, David Oren Cloud, Dion Coletto, Richard Coletto, Giuliano Caccetti, David E. Carey, Helen Carey, Jeremy Kasevich, Sally Esteban Chaliff, Ron Corona Jr., Barbara Clark, Lee Crundle, John Coletto, Marianne Conan, Mark Carlton, Maud Cassisu, Michael Carr, Paul Cooper, Richard Cocco, Richard Collins, Ross Cooper, Steve Crane, Chris Courier, Thomas Ciancio, Alice Miller, Bruce Davis, David Dewhurst, Gay Doucette, Simon Dresner, James Dries, Jim Dalton, Larry Dennison, Martina Douglas, Robert DePlano, Jocelyn Dorfman, William J. Downey III, Rudolph Duncan, Teresa Duncan, Patrick Desmond, Lindy Duncanson, Don Edge, Gary Epstein, Hans Van Ettinger, Mick Erickson, Farid Ella, Natalie Ellis, Robert Ellison, Alex Enkhorn, Randy Emery, Laurent Fafard, Bud Fields, Betty Feliski, Eunice Ford, Christian Fouche, Hugh Franklin, Kerry Frost, Michael Friedrich, Peter Ernst Fry, Roxanne Friend, Karen Fuller, Ruben Joseph Flores, William Fisk, Siama Gallup, Mary Garlick, Bobby Garraud, Philip Givenchy, Ches Glickman, Nancy Graham, Alan Green, Carol Gluchacki, Chris Garrison, Doreen Gall, Gabriel Graves, Yaris Godika, John Griffin, Ellen Griffin, Michael Gutman, Philip Gale, Victor Gunnarsson, Zane David James Gross, Betty Holliday, Otis Halliday, Adam Hepplewhite, Dick Halprin, Dorian Hale, Sheila Harris, Joseph Haveneth, Jim Hester, Andrea Holden, Hanu Heitinen, Hilary Holton, Joe Harrison, Karen Homburg, Lauren and Hervé Heaver, Quentin Hubbard, Alan Hubbard, Marjorie Hunt, Albert Jacquier, Laverne Jardine, Yvonne Jench, Bo Johnson, Susan Johnson, Lorraine Johnston, Judy Johnston, Lee Johnston, Fenton Jones, Alan Capula, Jane King, Jeremy Kasevich, Jim Keith, John Kennedy, Keith Klein, Mark Kabat, Jane King, Noel King, Pius Keel, Wendy Kretz, Marie-Louise Crussell, Ray Kundal, Andre Lachambre, Casper Laubschang, Paolo Lagnini, Douglas J. Long, Gloria Lopez, Michael Lauber, Noah Lottick, Scott Leland, Sean Lonsdale, Mickey Llewell, Phoebe Maurer, Terry McMahon, Alan Meredith, Bob Mills, Craig Miller, Ed Mooney, Edward McBride, Stacey Murphy, Gerard Miro, Jolie Marshall, Joy McBride, Mike McKee, Lisa McPherson, Susan Meyersdorf, Kushru Motivala, Paul Mace, Alan Meredith, Stacey Moxon, Susan Meister, Terry McCann, Willem Mack, Jorgen Nielsen, Roger Nind, Marie Nollenberger, Matt Norrid, Sharon Nederlander, Jamie Lee Nureyev, Robert Oakes, Steve O'Hara, Andreas Ostertag, Ken Ogger, Marla Panda, Daphne Parcell, Marie Passmore, Dan Pertz, Herbert Pfaff, Leslie Platinsky, Larry Pollock, Aaron Poulin, Brand Pants, Claudia Petchuk, Dom Primakarov, Ellie Perkins, Louis Pagliaro, Grant Poole, Randy Patterson, Remy Petit, Wayne Pruitt, Ilya Rachmanov, Eric Ribio, Jude Richmond, Rodney G. Rimondo, John Roberts, Ruth Ann Roberts, Venus Rojo, Gary Ross, David Rousseau, Brian Rubinek, Julie Salmon, Janice Savoy, Van Seffers, Bob Schaffner, Charles Sheehan, Suzanne Van Sickle, David Sandveiss, Frank Suarez, James Sharp, James Stewart, Cam Solari, Carol South, Luzette Sparrin, Idella Stone, Jimmy Spheris, Lloyd Speedy, Karen Simon, Andy Simon, Mark Schatzbergen, Carrie Slaughterbeck, John Robert Smith, Patrick William Salvo, Paul Schaefer, Quentin Schenhager, Rita Smith, Marie Stauffer, Terry Schiavo, Jean Trout, Koos Nalst Trenit, Rob Tweddle, Jet Travolta, Robert Thorburn, Lavina Timmons, Susan Todd Hunter, Giuseppe Tomba, Phil Valinsky, Patrice Vick, Daniel Wagner, Gregory Bradford Wiesner, Jim White, Michael and Catherine Walicki, Larry Wheaton, Margaret Winkleman, Jane Winkler, Willie Wong, Trevor Woods and Denise Webb, Rudolph Willems, Casey Werning, Beth Yamaguchi, Sherry Marie Yearsley, Simon Zimmer. That's a list of nearly 300 people who are dead because of Scientology.